no matter how we overreact or how things go wrong and how obstacles happen. And I think always have that awareness of things are always going to go a little bit wrong. Okay, things are always going to be tough. We're always going to make mistakes. We're all only humans. And just, I think everyone, one thing you could take away from this is to be more kind to yourself when it does happen. Okay, so unexpectedly, one morning in the future, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to probably forget about my habits or my routines. Maybe I'm going to have a bad morning. Maybe I've gone to bed a little bit later. I might wake up and I might snap at Nat. I might snap at Logan. I might start the day on a bit of a spiral because something's happened really early that rattled me or triggered me, and I overreact and I have to step back shortly after and go, listen, like, I dealt with that really, really badly. I'm sorry. This is what I learned from it. This is what I'm going to take away from it. This is what I'm going to write down. And this is how I'm going to try and hold a mental reminder to deal with that situation. Morning, everybody. We're back. Say good morning again. Feels more real now. To deal with that situation next time it crops up, you know? So very often when, like washing machine door fell off Melissa and would normally have lost it, but you didn't. So that's amazing. But had you lost it and overreacted, it's just a learning curve to realize. And you guys might be experiencing this in your relationships, in your boss. I tell you what, a massive one for me is dealing with confrontation. Morning, Paul, because with my background, I'm very well experienced at dealing with confrontation, okay? And very often people will be looking for an argument, okay? They're looking to trigger you, and they're looking to draw you into a conversation and build on emotion. Now, an example of this would be, I don't know if you've ever, I'll give you a great example of what I learned from them. Our house was built by a company called Avant, and I don't mind telling the world, they're absolutely terrible, okay? We've had numerous problems with the house, from electrics down to gas work, down to various other things, okay? But their complaints department, because they obviously deal with a lot of confrontational situations and people and complaints on a daily basis, is incredible. And I've learned a lot from it, because no matter how angry I get at them, no matter how much I state how certain things affected our life and our income, I'll give you a small idea. The lawn wasn't finished when we moved in, which, imagine that with 2 dogs, an unfinished mud lawn that goes straight into the house through the patio doors. They rebuilt the drive at the wrong height. So when I went up the drive from the curb, my car got stuck and the entire drive had to be dug up, and relayed. And then now we've got various problems due to like a wailing sound in the gas and the water system when you put a tap on downstairs, and it sounds like there's a Intercity 125 running upstairs. We've had problems with the electrics, and 2 door handles have fallen off, okay? But the point of this is, no matter how angry I get in the emails and tell them how disgusting I think their behaviour is, and that they claim to be Avant quality homes, and do they stand by these standards? Do they believe that that's acceptable? They just calmly refer me back to the fact that they're basically not going to do anything about it. They don't get drawn into conversations. They're not willing to discuss the points. And and it's kind of, that's been a learning curve for me. And you'll think, wow, how, that's just the flip side, isn't it? How have I ended up taking a positive out of that? Well, the positive I've taken out of it is that sometimes I have to deal with unhappy people. And I've definitely made the mistake in the past of fighting fire with fire, which is just like pouring petrol on a fire. So a real world example would be a client who I know full well hasn't done anything with their diet plan or their nutrition plan, same thing, or their training plan. They haven't done any check-ins. They haven't done anything that they agreed in the contract when they started out on the program. And then I get the occasional one that after 5 to 6 weeks, having done absolutely nothing, no check-ins, no measurements, they've had an email and a message every single week asking them if they're okay and if they need any help. They get a Q&A every single morning, and then they still decide that everything is kind of my fault. Anyone who deals in any kind of service industry, no matter how good you are, you will always deal with that. And that's what I've had to realize as well, because I'm just of the mindset when I think I can help everyone. Okay. But I used to deal with it like they're already angry. Okay. And it's not about me. It's about them. Okay. They're peed off because they've spent £300 on a plan and done nothing. So rather than just deal with the embarrassment of that, people will try to blame and complain and make it someone else's fault. Now, all I should do is exactly what Avant have done, which is reply very calmly with the facts, and that's it. I've not done that in the past. I've got drawn into massive conversations that would go on for 10, 20, 30 emails, either party trying to argue both points, okay? So that's another just example of how you can learn from not ideal situations, but also just realize that, it was never about me in the first place. And, every single person each and every day is just doing the very best that they can with what they've got. So it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to have moments when you do exactly what I've told you not to do, which is focus on what you can't do and focus on what you don't want and all those things. But what's not okay is to never learn from the situations, okay? Never have an awareness of how you dealt with it. Never have an awareness of how certain things are making you feel, because that then does become about you, because things are happening over and over and over again that are causing all those feelings, but you're not doing anything about it. You've got no awareness, you've got no action, you're not thinking about how it's changed. And if you're doing nothing at all, ever, then yeah, that's not good, and that's never ever going to help you move forward. But back to the initial point was, it's okay to coach all these great things about you must do this and you must do that, and if you feel this, you're going to feel like that, and if you do this, you're going to feel like that. But what I'm trying to get across is it's also okay to have an awareness that we're all just humans. We all mess up. We all make mistakes. We all overreact. We all say things we shouldn't say. We all get stressed when we don't need to. And that's all right. But we need to learn from it. And we need to think, okay, that obviously wasn't great, because me feeling stressed in the first place isn't great. How could I deal with it better next time? And learn from it. That's how you deal with the situation. Whereas I think what many people do is they just batter themselves for it. Okay, so I got weak and had a drink at the weekend. Not me personally. But, rather than thinking, okay, why did that happen? How was I feeling? What was the triggers? How can I deal with it better next time? What did I learn from it? And parking it and moving on. It's very easy to just go into victim mode and go into failure mode. Oh, that's it. I've messed it all up now. It's all my fault. I'm a bad person, all that kind of thing. So yeah, hope that's been helpful this morning. But in short, there will always be obstacles. Okay. We know how to deal with them, but very often we will deal with them badly. what we need to have an awareness of in that situation is that we dealt with it badly, but what did we learn? Okay, and where can we improve in the future? And how can we flip any form of negative into a positive, like I have with the van? Okay. Okay, Kelly Lou, how do you make the bridge from knowing you are overreacting to actually stopping the behaviour? I've had a meltdown this morning. I knew I was stressed and overreacting, but it's like I couldn't help myself. Yeah, so yeah, the same as me yesterday. It's really, really hard, Kelly, because once your temper goes, I've just seen Pete's logged in. Pete will be laughing at this. He has a full real world example of my previous tempers. And you are absolutely right, okay? At the time, I would put forward that it's almost impossible to stop it, because once you've gone, okay? And unless it's probably the only person that can actually do it with me is Nat. But if I'm already flaring up massively about something and someone tells me to calm down, they're going to get the flare up. Again, it's as simple as that. It's going to trigger me because I'm already gone. I'm already out of control. Okay. Now, whilst I think that is be very difficult, there are certain steps that you can do. Very much like what Mel just commented. You know, we can have a trigger to walk away and take 10 really deep breaths to think about it and think about how you're reacting. But if you're having a meltdown and you knew you were stressed and you were overreacting, but you couldn't help myself, what I would say to that, Kelly, is, right, you need to park that feeling now because it's gone. You've done it, okay? Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't be sat there in the mindset of, oh God, why do I always overreact? Oh God, why do I always behave like this? I don't want to behave like that anymore, because again, we're focusing on what you don't want, okay? So we need to step back and ask those questions. So what actually happened? What actually happened that gave you a meltdown and stressed you out so much? What did that mean? Like proper facts. What did that actually mean? Well, mine was as stupid as a dog barking, so it meant nothing. Okay. How can I learn from it and how can I move forward? So even the fact that you've come on here and said that is amazing, because you've got an awareness that it's happening, and many people don't have that or can't admit that or aren't willing to say, yeah, I overreacted there and it was really, really bad. But we can either look at what was, do you mind saying what the trigger was? Why you had the meltdown or what kicked you off? Because if you don't mind and you call about it, then it would be cool to discuss it. But to me, it's those questions, and I actually went through this on a training yesterday. What actually happened? What does it mean? What did I learn from the experience? And why am I grateful that it happened? So let's take an event. What actually happened? Well, we made a bad decision on the people that we chose to book our house, and some handles fell off, okay? What does that actually mean? Well, not loads really, because most of it's been rectified. It's a bit of a blip, but you know, there's worse things in the world and it's not life-changing. What did I learn from the situation? That I would need to make decisions on who I picked to build houses much more carefully in the future. I got no references on Avant as a company whatsoever, so I'd be looking much deeper into the people that were building my house, and I would ask a lot more questions. For instance, this is what they're classic at, okay? The show home looks a dream. You don't get a show home. You don't get the same garden. You don't get the same paving slabs. You don't get the same anything, okay? So I learnt to be more careful and ask more questions. Is my garden going to look like that, or is it just going to be a mess of grass? Okay. Can I have a look at the fixtures and the fittings and the door handles? Which ones do you use? Find 10 people that have bought a house from Avant before and get some feedback on what their customer service is like, what their complaints are like, how they deal with customer issues, and make a better, more informed decision, okay? And then, why am I grateful for that? Well, I'm grateful because everything in life is a learning curve. Every day is a school day. So I've learned when I ultimately buy a house that will be more expensive than this one, that I've now got a very good trial run on the questions that I need to ask and the research I need to do before doing it. So I've learned from it. Also, via their very good customer complaints department, I've also had a really good lesson in how to not get drawn into confrontation and how to not pour petrol on a fire and how not get too drawn into the fight that someone's going to have to me. So I've learned from it. So Kelly, the reason was trying to get to work this morning, I got stuck in the ice. I asked my other half for help and I didn't get the response I wanted. Okay, so that's about him. That's not about you. And the snow and the trying to get into work situation is outside of your influence. Okay, so he could have helped. His response was to criticize my driving rather than physically help me. I think I probably would have shouted and sweared at him as well. That's about him, that. And I'm a bit stumped with how to reply to that, to be honest with you. And that's a conversation that you need to have tonight and you need to ask him, okay? Because otherwise what's going to happen is what I discussed on a private seminar last night is that part of your relationship is, sorry, my arm's starting to ache. That part of your relationship is going to become like the pressure cooker. So it's like the pushing what are they called? Beach ball into the swimming pool. That's what he's done. And then it's blown up and exploded, okay? You were the beach ball. He's been pushing you under until you exploded, okay? So that needs to be a conversation and it needs to be dealt with tonight, because if not, you're going to stay annoyed at him. You're going to stay frustrated. You're going to feel angry. You're going to then possibly sedate it or suppress it. And then it's going to become something that's not talked about until it happens again, until it gets worse and worse and worse. So for me, yeah, I wouldn't say feel terrible for shouting and reacting, but you have every right to be frustrated about his response. But remember, his behaviour doesn't need to affect your response. So I would say that's going to be quite embarrassing, quite an embarrassing conversation for him. But if I was you, the conversation that you need to be having tonight is saying, you know, I was in a really difficult situation. My car was stuck in the ice, which made me feel anxious and a bit afraid and a bit scared, which you do. So when I turn to the one person who I expect to love and protect me and be there for me and help me out in difficult situations, rather than do that, which would be what a man would do, your reaction was to criticize me. Why did you react like that? Why did you feel that was appropriate? So ask him good questions, but resolve the situation and resolve it tonight, because men are idiots sometimes. I'm an idiot sometimes, okay? He may well just have thought he was having a bit of a laugh, okay? He hadn't considered how you were feeling. He hadn't considered your stress levels. He hadn't considered your anxiety levels. He probably doesn't struggle with driving in snow, and he doesn't understand any of the way that situation was making you feel. So to him, it was just a bit of a joke, and his knee-jerk reaction was to just take the piss, which I've done that, okay? But he needs to learn from it. But he can't learn from it unless you calmly discuss it with him and discuss exactly how it made you feel. So I hope that helps. Be interested to know how that one goes. But yeah, that's just the response wasn't about you. That was about him. That was his way of dealing with that situation, which rightly or wrongly, at that time he was still just doing what he thought was okay, but he won't know that that's not okay or how it made you feel unless you calmly discuss that with him. Not just, I can imagine how you reacted, which again is just pouring fuel on the fire, isn't it? It's making the situation worse. So again, I understand how you reacted, but my advice would be is you guys just need to have a proper conversation about that tonight and be like this is how I felt at that time. And I'm kind of aware that you probably don't understand that because you're a bloke and you drive vans and you just probably don't consider. But I know and have had clients that literally have heart palpitations when they even drive a car because it makes them very, very nervous. So again, that's something that he might not have experienced, so he wouldn't understand it. So yeah, just kind of discuss it tonight and just discuss how it made you feel really calmly and it upset you. And if he is a decent bloke, he will be willing to accept that and take it on board and understand how you were feeling and how he at that point wasn't the man that you needed him to be. And hopefully he might stand up a bit more. Guys, have an awesome day. Thanks for tuning in. Classic, isn't it? This is the most random live ever, split into two. We're then talking about relationships, obstacles, all different sorts of focus. But yeah, let's just finish on the title, guys. That's what it is. Each and every day, we're all just doing the very best we can with what we've got. He was in that situation. You were in that situation. Learn from it, talk, communicate, and move forward. Take care, guys. Have an awesome day. I love you all, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye.